Chelsea 0, Manchester United 2. The Blues are out of the FA Cup thanks to falling asleep twice and conceding 2 goals by headers from midfielders. Chelsea weren't awful, but Chelsea are just not good enough. Like, we don't have that spark. We're just missing too many small things, while also some of Maurizio Sarri's decisions also have to be seriously questioned. To find out everything about the game and our performance, be sure to watch all of this review. Hello there guys, and welcome back to 100% Chelsea for my review of the Chelsea 0, Manchester United 2 game in the 5th round of the FA Cup, and we are knocked out of the FA Cup. And that just wasn't great. The thing is, we weren't awful today. We were not awful. We basically fell asleep twice, and that's why we lost 2-0. That's what happened. Yes, we didn't create enough clear-cut chances. I completely agree. But we weren't like dreadful. It wasn't like a Bournemouth game. It wasn't, let alone a Man City game. We just don't have that bit, if you know what I mean. We just don't have that spark, and it's so frustrating. Of course, this is the review. There will be fan cams, there will be a vlog, all sorts of content surrounding the game. So, for all sorts of reaction, obviously on the results on the game, be sure to subscribe to 100% Chelsea, and let's also see whether we can hit 400 or more likes in this video. That would be massively appreciated. But now let's get into the review, and obviously starting off with the lineup, and there was already a few questions basically raised when we saw the lineup. I mean, obviously it was in a 4-3-3 formation. We all knew that that's what we were going to see. Kepa Arrizabalaga in goal, a back four of Azpilicueta and Marcos Alonso as the fullbacks, and then a centre-back partnership of Antonio Rudiger and David Luiz. A midfield three of Jorginho as the obviously regista, N'Golo Kanté as the right centre midfielder, and Mateo Kovacic today again as the left centre midfielder, and a front three of obviously Eden Hazard on the left, Higuain out at the front, and then on the right wing it was Pedro rather than Willian or Callum Hudson-Odoi. And, I wasn't happy with Alonso starting. Emerson didn't even make the bench, although, I'll get to that. I actually thought Alonso, except for the first goal we conceded, did all right today. And arguably, Emerson would have struggled quite a bit. And then Pedro, I just don't understand how he started today. It just doesn't make sense. He was, again, poor. Willian, I'm not sure whether Willian would have been better or Willian wasn't great when he came on. But Pedro just didn't warrant the start today. Like, Pedro did not warrant the start today at all, and it's just frustrating. I mean, getting into the game, United had the better start. They pressed us a lot. We struggled to get around their press, and they had a few kind of like half chances and almost moments, if you will. A few shots on target also, but none of them that really threatened us. That was in the first 10 minutes. So basically, the next 10 minutes, they were our game. We got into the game a lot better, finding ways around Man United's, pressing, which we did quite well. We had a few half chances, a few actual chances, if you will. A Luiz free kick that Romero, who was in goal for United, had to save, and then Pedro had the rebound shot, which again Romero got to. Hazard put a shot just wide off the goal. Higuain had a header that he put just wide, which he could have done slightly better with, I guess. But headers from quite a bit of distance, just at the edge of the box, are always quite difficult. And then the next 10 minutes, so from the 20th to the 30th minute, it was very even. Neither team really creating much, but it was open. Like, it was a decent game to watch. But then exactly on the half an hour mark, and Herrera made it 1-0, and it was just a ridiculous goal to concede. Both the goals we conceded today were ridiculous, but like, there was so much wrong with that goal. It's not as easy as to pinpoint one player that did something wrong. It's not that easy. So much went wrong with that goal. I mean, it ended up with Pogba crossing the ball from the left-hand side. He was basically by the touchline, just crossed the ball in, and then Herrera made a run into the box from midfield and just headed it in from inside the box into the far corner. Like, we were all over the place. First of all, Azpilicueta was absolutely nowhere. He properly overdid it with his pressing and closing down, and he was in no man's land. Like, United were by our box, and he was still only, halfway in our half, if you will. Then our three midfielders all behaved like absolute schoolboys. I mean, what Kanté did made sense, and what Jorginho did made sense to an extent. But also Kovacic moved over towards the ball, leaving our whole left side completely exposed. Then Antonio Rudiger was left by himself because Azpi wasn't there. So when he was kind of on Pogba, he was kind of also had to cover for Matas running behind. And then that gave Pogba the time to cross the ball. Like I said, Herrera made the run into the box. And then David Luiz and Alonso were kind of all over the shop. Luiz was kind of on Rashford, but then he kind of wasn't, I guess. Alonso kind of wanted to go for Rashford, then realised, all right, Luiz is on Rashford, so where am I now? Then he was all over the place, like basically just lost in the middle of nowhere. And by the time we realised that Herrera was making that run because he was unaware, as he usually is, as he was at Man City for that first goal, just wasn't aware of that, couldn't react anymore, and then we were just 1-0 down. And Kovacic should have been there. Kovacic, in theory, should have followed that run by Herrera. Marcos Alonso should not be unaware of that. There's a guy behind him at the back post. You're the left back. You're the guy furthest, to that side as the defender. You have to check whether there's going to be someone behind you. I don't care whether he's marking Rashford or not. He has to look behind him. That's his job. There's a centre-back ahead of him that, watches Rashford. He should be watching that other guy, but he wasn't. He should be watching that direction, and he wasn't. Of course, again, all of it coming because Aspie stormed forward that much, and then Rudiger had to move out, so Luis had to follow, and then Alonso had to follow. So, they were all kind of pushed towards the right when, if Aspie was in position, we probably don't concede that goal. So everything was just wrong with it. And then, basically the rest of the first half, until we went 2-0 down, well, it was just a load of nothing. Yes, we had most of the ball, I guess, but we didn't create anything. United didn't really create anything either. And it was just like a load of nothing that wasn't awful to watch. And then basically on the half-time mark in the 45th minute, Paul Pogba, turned up basically to make it 2-0. In all honesty, I think every Chelsea fan knew at that point that was game over. We were not going to come back from 2-0 down. Like, that's just not what we are like at the moment. Like, that was not going to happen. But again, it was such a stupid goal to concede. I mean, it all started from a throw-in way into Manchester United's half. Actually, that, in my opinion at least, I only saw one replay and everyone complained about it. But I only saw one replay, like I said, looked like it should have been a free kick to us, I think, rather than a throw-in. Maybe it should have been a throw-in to us, but it looked like a foul to me anyway. So, that was a bit strange. But, regardless of that, we should not be conceding that goal. I mean, United have their throw-in. Basically, Luis gets on the ball, wins the header in the centre after the throw-in, after it was flicked on. Heads it basically between Jorginho and N'Golo Kanté. Those two have a massive misunderstanding. Neither of them is going for the ball. First, well, Kanté really should have, because he was in a better position to go for it. Didn't do anything, so then Jorginho tried, but it was too hard for him, so he didn't probably get there. Pogba has the ball, plays a through ball to Marcus Rashford on the right. Luis tries to follow him, but then does something weird, runs away from Rashford again, and then closes him down again, so kind of just let him cross. I'm not sure whether he would have been able to get anywhere near enough to stop him from crossing. Probably not, but it's still strange behaviour to go inside, then outside, then inside, or the other way around. That was strange behaviour. But then on the other side, I mean, Pogba just continued his run towards the far post, basically. And that was just dreadful. I mean, N'Golo Kanté, what are you doing? First, he doesn't go for that ball when basically Luis heads it to him, in a sense. And then he's just caught ball watching. And it doesn't happen that, it happens quite regularly for Kanté at the moment that he's ball watching rather than following a man. And it's really annoying me. And, I already got plenty of criticism on Twitter for saying Kanté is having a mare. But in my opinion, he was. Like, you cannot be doing that. He's meant to be the best central defensive midfielder in the world. Everyone wants him to play as the DM. Well, isn't that then exactly what he should be good at? Following a man and not ball watching. Isn't that exactly what he's meant to be good at? Because he just ignored Pogba, didn't see Pogba, whatever you want to call it. But he just ran, looked over to Rashford, looked at the ball and just didn't do anything. Pogba moved further towards them, the far post. Rudiger kind of didn't really know what he was doing, but what Aspie was doing, I have absolutely no idea. You could say, Rudiger should be on Pogba, but they were kind of confused with Lukaku in the box as well. And then Pogba, Luis and Rashford, Rudiger were a bit all over the place. But Aspie kind of ran forwards and backwards and forwards, and then it was just in no man's land, and then Pogba had a free header. Kepa, I guess, also maybe could have done a little bit better for the goal. I'm not going to criticise him for it, though. He got a touch on it and couldn't keep it out. And that was then, obviously half-time at 2-0 because they scored right on the break. And it was just disappointing. Like, we weren't better than them, I wouldn't have said. It was an even half. But how we were 2-0 down was ridiculous. It should have been 0-0, simple as that. There were two easy goals to stop from conceding, and it was really annoying. And getting into the second half, we tried. Yes, we tried, and we really did try. It was not like we gave up. We complained about that time wasting, less than 10 minutes into the second half. We ran, we fought, but we just weren't good enough. We simply weren't good enough today. I don't think it's as simple as criticising tactics today. I don't think it's as easy as criticising systems today. Today was just obvious that we didn't have enough. We didn't have enough except Hazard. Everyone else was just not good enough. Azpilicueta is not good enough to be a right back in an attacking system. Marcos Alonso, I don't even want to mention, but Emerson wouldn't have been much better. Attacking, maybe, but Emerson, would have had so many problems with Lukaku in that first half. So many problems because Lukaku was playing out wide on, their right, our left quite a lot. And Alonso wasn't playing great, but he held his own quite well against Lukaku. And Emerson would have struggled big time. So I think in hindsight, even though Alonso bottled it for the first goal we conceded, I'm pretty sure Emerson would have made the exact same mistake because that's exactly what, Emerson's weakness is exactly what we conceded from. Emerson would have struggled against Lukaku, I'm telling you that. But it doesn't really matter. Going forward, as a left back in an attacking system, Alonso just doesn't cut it. He's not quick enough. He's not good enough on the ball. He's attacking, crossing and passing. It's just not good enough. Jorginho is questionable, although I thought he had a decent game today. A lot better forward passing, a lot more decisive forward passing. And I thought he did well defensively as well. I mean, you can't, criticise him for not being able to hold off Pogba or Lukaku. I mean, he's not their size, is he? So I'm not really sure how to criticise him for that. Kanté is decent going forward. He does, and he runs, and he works. But defensively, he's sometimes then all over the shop, like for the goal, and then going forward, he's just lacking that little bit sometimes. In other games, he has everything. But then sometimes, like today, it's just not working. And then Kovacic and Ross Barkley, I mean, there's no lesser evil there. They're both shocking as left centre midfielders. They are both absolutely dreadful. Barkley can't pass to save his life, quickly, can't make decisions. He just cannot do that. And Kovacic basically tries to play centre-back. He plays that deep. When he should be way further forward, he just doesn't do anything. He just moves sideways. He never moves forwards. He just doesn't provide anything going forward in that position. And it's extremely frustrating. Then Hazard, who actually had a good game today. Hazard had a good game. We lost 2-0 and only had like 2 shots on target all game long. I mean, Hazard tried. He did really well. He worked really hard and he went past everyone and he looked amazing when he was on the ball. And then Pedro, I mean, what can I say about Pedro? I mean, he's just shocking. And so is Willian. And I don't understand why Hudson-Odoi isn't playing, and it's pissing me off with Sarri. Like, everyone can agree that's pissing me off with Sarri. I don't want Sarri to go. I think his system can work. I think his system will work if we give him the time. But some of his, selections are seriously pissing me off now. And for Higuain, I just feel sorry for him. He must be like, where the hell did I get into here? I mean, he had the game against Huddersfield, but everywhere else, he's just not receiving any service. Like, he had that one ball by Jorginho over the top in the first half that he controlled well and then kind of hit it on the shin, and that gave it a bit of a too heavy touch and he couldn't get a shot away anymore. That was the only time he actually was in a decent position to do something when he also received the ball. He made so many good runs, as he always does. He just doesn't get the ball. We just don't have the creativity. We don't move enough. We don't pass enough. It's just not good enough at the moment. We are not good enough. But then the substitutions in the second half, you can question them as well. Okay, Willian came on pretty early for Pedro, less than an hour gone. Then Barkley comes on for Kovacic. We don't have anybody else. Okay, what does Sarri do? Loftus-Cheek wasn't on the bench. He's still out injured. Once he's fit, I think a lot of it will improve in that, in that aspect, because he's kind of a mix of both, just better at a lot of things than both Barkley and Kovacic are. And then the last substitution, he brought Zappacosta on for Azpilicueta. I mean, Zappacosta hasn't played since bloody early January, if that. I can't even remember the last time Zappacosta played. Then he comes on for the last 10 minutes today. Completely don't understand it. Okay, he already brought on Willian. He's not going to take off Hazard, so he can't really bring on Hudson-Odoi unless he puts Willian in at left centre mid or whatever, somewhere in midfield, and then just plays Hudson-Odoi there. He's not going to bring on Giroud. That's not going to work. I mean, okay, play 2 up front. Sarri's not going to do that. He could have tried, I guess. But to bring Zappacosta on just makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. I just didn't understand it at all. Like, the second half, we didn't create anything. We didn't have a single shot on target in the second half. But Man United didn't do anything either. Like, they sat back. All they wanted to do is see out the result. And fair play to them. They were 2-0 up in a knockout game in the FA Cup. Why wouldn't you do that? But that's all they did. They had a few counter-attacks. Some of them were a lot more dangerous than they needed to be, simply by poor defending on our side. But they didn't really threaten us at all in the second half. So, like I said in the beginning, we were not poor today. We were not awful. But we're just not good enough. And then, United had 2 big chances and they scored from both. It's as simple as that. And it's extremely frustrating. I don't know where to go. We're out of the FA Cup, but at the end of the day, our main priority has to be top 4 or winning the Europa League, or both. Not the FA Cup. Yes, it would have been great to win today for confidence, for everything. It would have been great, but it's not the be all and end all. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed that we're not better, but it is what it is. Now we're obviously playing against Malmö. Hopefully we don't bottle that and just go through the next round. That's important. And then it's Man City on Sunday. And do I see us standing any chance against Man City? In all honesty, no. If we can pull it off and somehow win that cup, great. At least those people that say Sarri never won anything can shut up then. I just don't see us winning it, in all honesty. But, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But the most important game that's coming up, but Spurs next week. Spurs in the league is the big game. The league is what matters way more than the FA Cup and the League Cup as well. Of course, we want to win the League Cup final. We're already there. It's not like we're going to play any more games. So we might as well try and win. But this league game against Spurs is big. I don't think Sarri will be anywhere near close to be sacked before that. But if we lose, to City and to Spurs, I think there is a chance of Maurizio Sarri being sacked by then. But to be honest, that's really it for me. Leave me all of your thoughts on the game down in the comments section below. Do you agree with me that if we don't beat either of City and Spurs, Maurizio Sarri will be sacked? Let me know down in the comments section below as well. Like I said in the beginning, let's see whether we can hit 400 or more likes in this video. That would be massively appreciated. So please be sure to smash the like button down below. I'd massively appreciate that. Of course, don't forget to check out my social media, which is Laos5007 on both Instagram and Twitter, as you can see over here, and also the links to both of them are down in the description below. And of course, this is YouTube, so if you haven't already, please do be sure to subscribe to 100% Chelsea, and also don't forget to hit the notification bell button and choose to be notified about all uploads so you don't miss any of the future videos. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. As always, when we lose, and that is way too many times at the moment, upwards and onwards, up to Chelsea, and I'll see you next time.